Hey guys, today I played round 8 at Aktobe Open tournament in Kazakhstan, and I got a chance to get my revenge against the FIDE master with whom I played a couple of years ago. And for me, at that time, I was much weaker and I was 200 points lower rated. But for me, that was a very important game 2 years ago because I was winning against him, and I think it would be the first time ever for me to defeat a FIDE master in classical chess. I had never before then defeated a FIDE master, and I was completely winning, and then I lost to him that game. And since then, I've defeated a bunch of FIDE masters, including some in this tournament. But 2 years ago, it sucked a lot, and I remember that game. I dreamed about that game, and today I finally got the chance for revenge 2 years later in the same tournament, Aktobe Open 2025. That was Aktobe Open 2023. So let's see if I got my revenge or not. It was a fascinating game. You will enjoy it. So this is the opening. He goes for the double fine shadow system. So he fine shadows both of his bishops, which is an interesting actually opening. Not many people play it, and I don't know the theory in it. I know that there are various plans, but usually with black, I prefer to take the center if white allows me to take the center. And it is as if I am playing with the white pieces and he's playing with the black pieces because he's not taking the center. But he wants to challenge me with c4, for example, or d4 sometimes. So it's like a skirmish, and it gets very sharp very, very fast. So here I go c5. He can, of course, go c4, and that would be a more symmetrical structure, but here d5 is possible, or d6. But instead, he castles, and he allows me to occupy the center, which is considered good, and the engine already prefers black a little bit, but this is all theory. And he was making all his moves instantly. I got a little bit late to the game because of my personal reasons, and I also spent quite a lot of time in the opening because I was trying to find the right plan here. So he goes c4 and then decide, okay, he allows me to go d4, I'll go d4, because otherwise very often here white goes d4 and then goes c4, and instead he goes castles, which is a rarer move, I think. And here also, instead of going d4, he goes c4, and now I can try to kill his bishop with d4. But there is a problem. He has b4, which is similar to some kind of a Benko gambit, but with white reversed. And if I take, then he'll take my pawn, which is not good, obviously. That's why I don't take on b4. Also, he has a3, like sacrificing the pawn for opening some files, and this bishop becomes a very strong piece. So I don't want this. I don't take on b4. Instead, I think for some time and I find the right plan. I go rook a8. I don't pay attention to this pawn. He goes d3. I push e5, strengthening this pawn chain. And yes, he can take the c5 pawn, which he does, but I will recapture it very soon. Knight d7, and he has no good way of defending it. He can go here, but then I can go queen c7 and still recapture this pawn. And I was really glad with the way I played this opening because I didn't know the theory, but somehow I felt that I'm outplaying him, even though he's playing instantly, so he probably has experience in this line. I have not found any games in the database of his, so probably he is playing on some online blitz accounts. I have not found his. I found one of his online blitz accounts, but I did not find this opening there, so probably he has some secret accounts, which many strong players do. So he goes knight d2. I take his pawn. He goes bishop a3. I go queen a5, taking the bishop, and his bishop here was stupid, so that's why he decided to trade it for a knight, which is logical. And he goes rook b1, I go rook b8, and I'm very happy with how the opening played out. Yes, I spent more than half an hour, but I feel like I've won the opening battle. I have the two bishops. I have more space. These pawns are very menacing. And in future, I want to attack him. I want to go maybe f5, e4, break in the center, open this dark squared bishop, which will be a monster if it opens. This bishop is also dangerous. The only thing I have to do is prevent his counterplay against the b7 pawn, but it's not that hard. So first of all, he goes knight g5, opening the the diagonal for the bishop. Now my pawn is hanging. Also, probably he wants to put one of the knights on e4, but it's okay. I go queen c7. It's a good move, multi-purpose move. Best move according to the engine, by the way. I'm playing very precisely in the opening, at least. So it's a multi-purpose move because he wants to go here and attack my queen. So my queen will have to retreat. And also it overprotects the b7 pawn. And now my bishop is free to roam the board because this pawn is protected and attacked twice. So he's not threatening to take it, even if my bishop goes somewhere. So good move. Queen a4, good idea for him. So if I do nothing here, for example, if I go, let's say a5, meaningless move, he has this nice move, bishop d5, which is a little bit unpleasant. I cannot take his bishop because my rook will be hanging. The knight is protecting the rook, and I will have to go rook f8 because this pawn is hanging, and he's somehow in the driver's seat suddenly. So queen a4 has two ideas. First, keeping an eye on this rook, and second of all, he's attacking this pawn. What do? Do I defend the pawn? No. I find a move that I'm very proud of, actually, the top engine move, bishop g4. He was surprised when he saw this move. So I'm counter-attacking him. Whenever your opponent attacks a pawn or a piece of yours, your first instinct should not be to retreat this pawn or piece or to somehow try to defend it. No, protect it. Your first instinct should be to try and attack something in your opponent's camp, counter-attack. That is very important to master dynamic play. Once I really mastered this principle, my level of play rose significantly, I think. So he was not expecting this move. He started thinking. Obviously, he can win the pawn. So his pawn is hanging, but my pawn is also hanging, and he has this ugly f3 move. And I drop back and he takes the pawn. But is it a pawn worth taking? I was happy. I would be happy to sack this pawn because f3 is a horrible move. This creates like a hole on the e3 square, dark squared holes in his position, and also his bishop is dead. It's killed. And if he goes f4 in future, then this will be also very weak. And still, my dark squared bishop will be a monster. So I would be very happy to go for this. I would have gone bishop c6. And if he goes here, I'll just go here. And then I just prepare some attack over here. Maybe like this, maybe like this. Lots of ideas. And black is definitely in the driver's seat here with two bishops and with a dominating position. So f3 is an ugly move, and you should not play chess if you go f3, even though the engine probably says that it's one of the best moves, but no, definitely not a good move. He goes bishop f3, trading the bishops, which I didn't actually like. I thought that rook e1 is normal, but he didn't like something about it. He decided to trade the bishops, but his bishop was very active, and it was the best piece of his, I think. So even though now I don't have the two bishops advantage, two bishops are better than one, usually working in tandem, but I thought still that he shouldn't trade this bishop. Also, this is what happened in the game, he has light squared weaknesses now. So in the example that I showed you, if he goes f3, he has dark squared weaknesses, but he decided to get himself some light squared weaknesses, which is inexplicable to me. Like obviously now I even more want to attack him, maybe like h4, h5, and h3 and queen g2 in future. One idea. Another idea is to push e4 or maybe f5, f4, or maybe g5, g4, h5, h4. Looks very dangerous, and I was confident that I'm better in this position. So here I calculated the immediate e4, which is, I think, a good move, but not the best one. And if he takes, I go e3, like blowing open this position. And if he takes, I take with the rook, and suddenly, like, I'm creating lots of threats. But I decided that he's not obliged to take on d4. He can take here, for example. And I thought that he had some counterplay here. So I decided I'm better. And whenever you're better, this is one of the important lessons by my grandmaster coach, you should prevent counterplay by your opponent. So instead of rushing with e4, I thought, what does my opponent want? First of all, he can take the pawn and create some counterplay over there. So I go b6. Like now, this pawn is not hanging, so I've prevented. Also, an idea of his could be c5 in future. So this square is nicely protected. I'm thinking of putting a knight here. It would be a great outpost for the knight because none of my opponent's pawns can kick the knight. There is no longer a b4 pawn. So c5 is a good outpost for the knight. When you learn to play chess better, you start seeing those patterns. You start seeing that, oh, c5 is a nice, potentially nice square for the knight. You just automatically react. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. So of course I'm not as good at it as the top players, but I'm starting to get better at it. I recognize those things. So b6, good move. He goes queen a6, and here again I could have gone a4, and I even briefly considered it, but for some reason I decided, let's not rush, let's prepare this. But it turns out that it's very good here, actually. So if he takes, again, e3 is strong, and I'm attacking him, and his queen on a6 is not participating in the defense. So it's bad. He can take with the knight, and take like this, and I take with the rook, and like he can go here, or he can go here, counter-attacking. And yeah, he has some chances also to fight back, but I'm much better. So I probably should have gone e4. I thought of this, but I decided, okay, let's not rush it. I go knight d7. My plan of putting the knight on c5 is still in force. He goes knight b3, preventing this. And now the problem is I can no longer go e4 because he can take. And if I go e3, he's not obliged to take because there is no knight on d2. The knight has left d2. So if I go here, he goes here, I go here, he can go f3 or f4. And it's not obvious if I have enough compensation for the pawn. Maybe I don't. So I decide to prepare it, and I go f5. And unfortunately, this is an inaccuracy, because it weakens this diagonal, and my king becomes too weak, and he has some counterplay of his own now. But I'm still a little bit better. So the correct plan, according to the engine, was still putting something on c5 and waiting and slowly, patiently maneuvering before I do anything. But unfortunately, I'm not an engine, and I did not think of going bishop f8. This looks like not very natural to me. So I go f5, logical move, I think. a4, he tries to create counterplay of his own, because he cannot just wait for me to attack, to push all the pawns on the king side and to demolish him. He'll just lose, so he has to create counterplay of his own. I go bishop f6, which has the idea of pushing this pawn, like this, and maybe later pushing e4. He goes e5. Again, he wants to at least open up one of the files, maybe push c5 later on, maybe infiltrate on the a file. He has to do something on the queen side. I go g5, continuing my plan. I want to push g4. He takes, I take. He goes queen b5. Now he wants to activate his queen like this and create counterplay against my king, which is why f5 was not the best move. So now my king is a little bit vulnerable. I block with knight c5. He takes. Now his queen is attacked. He has to spend a move moving it away. But my bishop is hanging. So that's the drawback of pushing that pawn. But yeah, whenever you push your pawns, you create also weaknesses. It has it's a double-edged sword, pushing pawns. I like pushing pawns, but sometimes it backfires. So I go king f7, protecting the bishop. It's important. I thought more natural would be to go king g7, but then he can trade like this, and if I go here, he has this move, and it's suddenly unpleasant for me because white is creating some threats, and actually white is better already. So king g7 is a mistake. King f7 is the best move. And suddenly I was like, where is my attack? Why is he putting pressure on me? And why am I not checkmating him? My opponent, by the way, played this game at 97% accuracy, so very precise game. He goes knight d2. He is anticipating the fact that I can go here or here. Probably e4 is what I would have gone for. And then e3 if he goes knight d2. So the same plan that I showed you previously. Maybe not immediately, because if he takes like this, this file is also already getting opened, and my king is also feeling a little bit vulnerable. But still, in future, maybe I go e3, maybe I just go e4 and stay like this. My pawns are very far advanced, and they can be targets, but they also control lots of squares in his camp and potentially could be used for an attack. So it's an interesting idea. But he prevents it. Sorry for the cough. I'm still not fully recovered from my illness. And here is the moment something inexplicable happens. So the position is balanced. It's around equal. plus 0.1, so equal in computer terms. Initially, I thought I'll go something like h5, maybe prepare h4. Maybe I also thought like maybe I can try to catch his queen like this. That would be fun. His queen has no moves and has to be lost. But unfortunately, he has rook b7. And this is not good because he's winning this pawn. His upper pawn, actually, I have some good counterplay, and the engine says that I have like decent compensation for the pawn, but I do not want to go into an endgame, of course. So rook a8 does not work because of rook b7, and I think, okay, maybe like maybe I'll just go king here, sidestepping all these rook b7 ideas, and then later on maybe I'll go into an endgame without those checks and try to infiltrate, or maybe I'll attack with h4, h5. He's not attacking me, so what can go wrong? Turns out everything can go wrong. Just one mistake and I'm losing. I played a brilliant game up until this moment, like no mistakes at all. Like one tiny inaccuracy with pushing f5 was the only one. But now I get a losing position because he has g4. And immediately, like, he plays this move very fast, and I was like, I'm such a stupid chess player. Like, chess is brutal. Sometimes you just make one tiny mistake, you, maybe not tiny, but one mistake, you rush it. And I thought for like 3 minutes, so it's not like I made this move immediately. I disregarded some other moves. I thought of rook e6, for example, and I thought that he'll drop back, and the problem is that he is threatening to take the rook and take the pawn next, so I would have to, I don't know, go here maybe. But he's already better, so rook e6 is not good. I should have gone for h5, because it is important to prevent g4. h5 and then probably do something else. But I did not think of this, and he goes g4, and I realized that if I take, he has this nice outpost for his knight, and look at my bishop. My bishop is just like a big pawn. It's not like very much different from the rest of, of pawns here, and it's also attacked and pinned. If I go passive like this, he'll take, and he'll, I don't know, he doesn't have anything like concrete, but he's winning. It's +3 because this bishop is so bad, and my king is weak, and his king is no longer weak. He can just take one pawn, for example, then go here, and yeah, it's hopeless. So I got so frustrated after g4. I was really hating myself after this point, but I decided I need to play on, and I go e4, which is practically speaking maybe like one of the best chances in this position. I try to infiltrate like this and create some attacks on the king. Maybe put the bishop here and create a battery. So try to do something. He checks me. The engine says, by the way, that the best move is taken with the king, but this is suicidal. I would have never done this, going with the king like this. Maybe like even joining the attack, but probably the king will die there. So of course I do not take, I drop back. And I was expecting him to take with the bishop, and I would have probably sacked the rook like this and tried to go rook b4, was my idea, to block this file, and then go like this or like this, trying to create some threats. And actually, if he's not careful enough, if he's like making some nonsensical moves like queen e1, suddenly queen e1 is bad because d3 actually attacks the queen, so queen e1 is worse than a nonsensical move. But if he goes, for example, like, let's say, king h1, then I go here. And if he just waits a little bit more, then I go here. And he's losing. So I have some ideas of my own in this position. But instead of taking the pawn with the knight, which I was anticipating him to do, he takes my rook first. And it's even better, I think. Because if I take with the queen, he will have a tempo to activate his rook. And then he will infiltrate on the 7th rank, and then he'll take this pawn. But his rook will also be attacking me, and I'm dead lost. So I cannot take with the queen, I take with the rook, but now he takes this pawn. And I cannot even sacrifice the rook for this knight. And this knight is very important, because if I go here and here, trying to go for this checkmating attack, he can just block with the knight, and I have nothing, unfortunately. I realize I'm lost, but I still try to play on, try to create something. I go rook b6, because in this position my bishop was hanging, so I have to interpose. Rook b6, he goes queen a8. I go rook b8, harassing his queen. He goes here, and I go here. By the way, funny stuff. After rook b6, he could have gone knight takes f6, because if I go here, he has this fork, and he's up a piece. But probably he saw it, but the problem for him is I can take the knight, and his queen is still hanging, and once it goes here, for example, I can infiltrate, and this is exactly the type of position where it can go wrong for him. I can create some threats. Yes, it's still winning, but it's not necessary to allow this. So knight f6, even though being a beautiful resource, is not the best. So instead he goes queen a8. I harass his queen, he goes here. Now he wants just to take this pawn. Also, this will be a threat, fork. So it's bad. I try to do something. I go bishop e5, trying to at least like attack something, but he calmly takes my c5 pawn. Now there is a threat of a royal fork. I check him. I go rook e8. I decide to sacrifice the rook for this knight because otherwise I don't have anything better. He checks me, I take, and I go bishop e5. If I have several moves in a row, if he waits, like he goes here, I go here, he goes here, I go here, he goes here, and now I can deliver a perpetual check like this. So this is my dream. But of course, he's not like making several nonsensical moves in a row. He's not going rook e1 here. He goes rook a1. He wants to infiltrate like this or like this and just checkmate me. And I can do nothing. I make a couple of more moves. And he goes rook d6. I check him. I give a couple of more checks and he blocks. And I resign because there's just nothing I can do. He's threatening this, and if I go here, he can go here and win. And unfortunately, I lose this game. I cannot get this revenge. This is so frustrating, guys. I was close. I was outplaying him, and it feels like I've become a much better chess player in those 2 years. But unfortunately, he's also progressed, and he's played a brilliant game. So kudos to my opponent, and that was an important lesson, I guess. Tomorrow is the last day. Wish me luck. Still, it's a good tournament for me. I'm like gaining 26 rating points on the basis of the first 8 rounds. Had I won today, I would have like gained like 40 rating points. But instead I gained 26. If I like do well in the last round, maybe I'll gain more. So see you in the next one. Bye bye. Don't forget to leave a comment, please, supporting this channel.